No, I was kind of like halfway through going onto League, and then I'm like, you know what? It's like 9 o'clock. I went to go play with Mochi, I fed Mochi, and then I looked at the time and I'm like, 3 hours of League or 3 hours of Warhammer? I mean, take your bets. Take your bets. I think I'm more interested in 3 hours of Warhammer for tonight, considering my brain is still on go, go, go speed. Go, go, go speed. Bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum, bum. Yeah, so there's no point. There's just no point tonight, to be honest. Tomorrow. Tomorrow it will be probably better for that stuff. I want to try the new game mode. Is the new game mode co-op? Does anyone know? Or is it single player only? It's 1 to 4. Okay. I'll give it, you can play Alawi, right? I'll give it a try if you can play Alawi. Fuck the other people. It's not that hard, though. You can beat it. Can you beat the entire thing? You need to unlock Alawi? Oh, that's pretty cringe. Can you beat the entire game mode, or is it, like, endless? You can beat it. There's 4 maps. It's kind of lame. You'd figure for a game mode like that, it should be endless. You just kind of, like, go into that sweet night. I will not go into that sweet night, but I will with this game mode. This game mode wasn't as big as I thought it would be. Not as big as me. That sweet caress. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. Hmm. Do you guys have any bits cabinets? You know what I mean by, like, little bit storage things for, like, bits? Not this again. I need to find a bit storage thing for, like, projects. Maybe something tiny. I don't know. Kind of like this, but not really. 1893 World's Fair. Please contact me. Bag of plastic. Yeah. You know, you gotta get the, like screw organizers, like the fucking nail organizers. Those things for, like, hardware. Those are pretty good. Those are not bad. Tupperware, the problem with Tupperware is that it just allows everything to go together, and you kind of don't want that, you know? You'd rather have things compartmentalized. You know that word? Compartmentalized. Is that how you pronounce it? Compartmentalized. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to find bit storage for my desk, because I was looking through some of my shit and I'm like, damn, I have a lot of it. Like, as an example, bit storage. This is some of my dwarf bits. Like, we're talking fucking holy shit. That's a lot of fucking bits. And there, I have like 3 of these maybe. But I need some for standing on desks, ideally. Bum, bum, bum. You know where this should go? Oops. Pretty good. Yo, yo. We're chilling. Yes, they've wronged everyone. Then again, the slightest of slight is still wronging them. Like, dude, you step on their toe, you break in, like, 50-year-old shoes that their fucking grandparents wore, it's game over. It is over for your bloodline. Tip out bins from Northern? What? Tip out bin? Is that... You talking about, like, bit storage? Tip out bins from Northern Tool. Yeah, basically those. Yeah, literally those, but like, I think I had found one on like, I used to own a few, because I was like I played Orcs at a time, and I remember having a bunch of, like, tool bin bit storage. And it's great. It's really good. Super, super good. Because I ended up ordering a bunch of general bits. I spent maybe like 50 bucks on a bunch of Cadian bits, and I kind of want to like organize them. Because I need the Cadian bits to build these Rangers. Unfortunately, the world works that way, but... it is what it is. Yeah. That's pretty cool, dude. No, they're actually, like, I'm not kidding when I say this, like, their music was good. Like, it was well produced, it sounded great, vocals were clear, everything was just solid. Like, it was legit. I'm not kidding. I wouldn't be surprised if they were picked up by, like... I mean, bottom line, I feel like labels just... It's the money. No shit. That's what they want from you, right? You gotta do something for them, and they'll do something for you, but, like... No, they're good, man. It's not bad. Being in a band is, I would imagine, one of the hardest things to do because it's, A, very subjective in terms of you making money or not, and there's so many other bands typically in your genre. So how can you differentiate yourself but also still sound appealing? Like, yeah. Okay. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, small, you know, it's kind of a big deal for small bands to sell merch. Most bands just sell merch and that's how they make money outside of, like, shows and whatnot, but... Yeah, if they don't have a big thing going on, they kind of just work out of their basement or whatever. That's usually how that goes. That's cool, man. Legit. In a different timeline, I would have been in a band. In a much different timeline. I'd be the guy that no one would recognize or know, or even care for. I'd be strumming the bass in the back. Bass. I used to play bass. I still have it. Spectre bass. 5-stringer. We were supposed to be doing a band in high school, except everyone's music tastes were different. Like, the other two guys that I would talk to, both of which played guitar, they were more interested in, like, rock and stuff like that, and I was more just hardcore metal. And, it just didn't really work out. But, you know, there could have been a compromise or whatever, but it's okay. Bog, yo, buddy. Yeah. Yep. Merch is expensive. Unless you know people in your family and you can kind of get deals and shit, like, the production of anything is quite a lot. And I believe the way it works typically with bands is that they kind of buy out X amount of shirts and then sell them for profit. Like, my merch store is more of, and most people's, just, like, print on demand type of thing, which is much easier than buying out a bunch of stock and needing to sell it. You know, way easier. You're just not always guaranteed to have that, you know? What happened to League? Later. It was too late. Everything I did leading up to now was just like 3 hours of League and that's it, because I'm going to bed at like midnight. There's no point. I stayed on here too long and then I had to go do a bunch of shit. Fed Mochi, hung out. And, yeah, it was just too late. Tomorrow, though, I won't even stream on this channel. We'll just do League. I'll check out the new champ. I'll get hemorrhoids. I'll check out the new game mode. I'll get an aneurysm. I'll play ranked. I'll smash my keyboard because it's just on a mid-over game. Yeah, it's okay. We're good. It's like, play ranked, deal with the worst fucking things in existence, play the new game mode, have a fucking seizure. Like, okay. Seizure. Seizure simulator. Exactly. Typical League stuff, yeah. Ba-bum-ba. Morty and Glory, hello, sir. I have seen your videos. I have been on your channel. Yo. Based. I make my way around either Twitch or like YouTube content. Yeah, I know. Warhammer YouTubing or anything in particular, content creation centered around Warhammer is fucking hard. Unless you're doing like lore videos or you've got like really high production cost like battle reports. Like, it's very community driven. It's great. I saw dwarves and I came as fast as I could. Yeah, I know you had like a I think it was a Highlands miniature army for dwarves, right? That seems to be the go-to. Yeah, Highlands stuff is Highlands is cool. I don't like 3D printing. I did it out of my kitchen and it was like a meth lab. just with resin. Empire and Dwarves, yeah. I kind of grew up on the GW stuff, so I try and like stay away from 3D printing as much as I can. Not that I don't like it, but the GW stuff is kind of what I grew up with, so it's got like the most nostalgia for me. But since Old World is like super slow, and the Dwarves took what, like 4 months to come out, everyone would go 3D printing, and that makes sense. That's not good for your health. Yeah, it's a meth house. It was terrible. It gave me a good glimpse into how resin printing works, because I had done it for maybe like a month out of the kitchen, and I never want to do it again. It is so much more convenient to have other people print you stuff and send it over for pay than doing anything yourself. Unless you've got like a shed outside with ventilation and all this shit. Yeah, if you've got a separate garage, it's perfect. You just got to keep that shit away from you. I'm sleeping, and I'm like huffing in all the fucking cancer gas and, you know, waking up to it, and it's great. It's really good. Shit permeated like every fucking room. But, you know, that's life. You live and learn, and then you die. But yeah, I don't really want to get back into 3D printing. And if I do, it's got to be like really by itself. Completely away from everyone. No human interaction. No dog interaction. Yep. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, hey, you live, you know, shit happens, and you don't do it again, and you pray you don't get cancer in 10 years. That's life. But, who knows? I do like the idea of sculpting your own bits. I think that's one of, like, the biggest appealing things about 3D printing, is just being able to make your own stuff and then print it at home. Implying you can, like, 3D model and stuff, but it's definitely a process and a half. Super, super long process. This fucking backpack. I just started painting my 6 mega knobs. Have fun with the mega knobs. The mega knobs kit that came out, the plastic one, is pretty good. I remember when they used to come in blisters of one for like fucking 20 bucks. So you'd have to go in, buy like 6 blisters if you wanted a squad of them. And then you'd have to build all of those metal minis. And you'd also, the coolest thing about the blisters was that when you would go in, well, it was cool and it was also fucking frustrating, because you'd look at them and there's a wall of them. And of course you want all the different poses, but people would come in and buy them up. So there'd only be like one pose left, and you don't want to buy like $100 worth of metal just to have them all look the same. They did that with a lot of the, they had Gretchen in metal from, like, Gorka Morka. They had the fucking Killa Cans in metal in a blister pack. Like, good God, man. it was cool, but it was like kind of frustrating just not getting what you wanted. Slap chop's a good method. Hey, whatever makes you happy, man. Get it on the table. Get it finished. Get it finished. I am busy converting backpacks. No painting ever. Never on this channel. I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. A lot of their stuff is just armor now. Like, if you're gonna do any of that stuff on orcs, it should be the easiest. You could literally dip them in fucking, like, liquefied ass and they'd still look good because they're orcs. You could bake them in the sun and they'd still look good because they're orcs. Armor is easy. You know, it depends on what you want to do with it, yeah. Orcs are a very forgiving army. I think that's one of the things I miss about them. I don't miss them at all outside of that, but, like, when it comes to modeling orcs, again, you could just be as lazy as you want and it works. You don't need to be precise. Every cut you make can be absolutely horrid looking, and it's great. Like, there was just a certain honesty in just creating things without having to think about what you're doing versus being precise with, like, dwarves or whatever it would be, space marines. Contrast paint always seems to come out looking patchy when it dries for me. There's a few videos on YouTube where people actually use it really well, and it doesn't look patchy at all. I have no idea. I think I own a few, but I've never used them. Which is typical Games Workshop purchasing. Buy something, never use it. What I would do is, I mean, YouTube videos. A lot of people use them in tandem with, like, actual paints, and they come out amazing. Painful statement. It's just true. Like, I'm selling all my shit. I got a whole fucking Discord full of my crap that I'm getting rid of. I have no time for the Votan. I got no time for the orcs. I got no time for the, I don't even know, Fire Slayers are all gone. Like, get this shit out of here. You kind of have to, like, refocus what you're actually into. Unless you have the chance at making everything, then that's different, but shit's gotta go. The problem is there's so much cool shit, and when you walk into a Games Workshop, you almost feel compelled to buy something. But thankfully, sometimes not. Thankfully, my interests are incredibly skewed, so I no longer am kind of like that, but, you know, everyone's guilty of buying more than they probably should. That's the norm within the hobby. It's just like, at that time, you may have had an idea for something, or, you know, oh, big new release, I gotta buy the $300 box set because it's cool, and I really think it's cool right now, but will I think it's cool in about a month? Probably not. So, you just kind of have to weigh your options and play it a bit smart. Bum, bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum. That does help, yeah. Pricing is pretty fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's a little jarring, because, like, the only thing I'm currently purchasing from Games Workshop is Dwarves. Just the new ones that are coming out, and the book, and the dice, and the transfer sheet, and, like, any new kits they decide to sell. But you look at the pricings of them, and, like, they're always giving you... The old world seems to want to sell you twice as much. Like, at one point, that's what they did. They used to sell you 10s, they used to sell you 20s. But, like, good God, a unit of guys, right now with the current price hike, is 100 USD. One squad in the old world of, like, Dwarf Warriors or Hammerers, 100 plus USD. Insane. So expensive. Yeah. Everywhere it's getting a lot. Super expensive. But, you know, you don't need, like, 300 Hammerers, but, you know, $100 a unit's kind of a lot. Like, holy shit. I think you don't like the resin. I think right now Forge World resin's pretty alright. It looks good. Like, nothing is really fine cast level of garbage. Looks okay. I ended up getting, I think it was some of the squat characters for, like, Necromunda. They all came out pretty good. Fine cast is complete dog shit, though, for sure. And thank God GW's kind of long phased out of fine cast, because it was just fucking terrible. That was actually, like, sculpting the figure yourself, because half the time it just came without, like, a face or bubbles. And then they tried to sell you liquid green stuff, and it's like, hey, look, we fucked up our product, and here's a product that's even worse that doesn't fix the problems. Like, yeah. I remember I was there at the Games Workshop when they first came out with liquid green stuff, and the guy was like, oh, sit down and try our amazing new product, liquid green stuff. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this shit ain't doing anything. And even he was showing me, and he's like, this shit ain't doing anything. And I'm like, yeah. Fucking garbage. Made to order stuff that comes out and goes in a mixed bag. Forgeable stuff is cool, but yeah, it's expensive. Everything is expensive. It is not good. It's just a matter of working with it, though. It's the process. Thankfully, I've got the brain of, like, a bean sprout, and so I can sit here and whittle away at things forever. So, like, if I do have a shitty fine cast thing or resin thing, I can thankfully get it done and have it look good. GWSF said he ordered some Lord of the Rings elves, and the vowels are so bad the face was mangled. Yeah, I mean, the castings are just cheap. It's just such a cheap way of doing it, and it's like, it's not a refined process. It just doesn't work well. I mean, all I've said is I own not many Forge World things, but like a few, and peeking through the clamshell, they've always looked good. For me personally. I don't think the older resins were too bad from Forge World. Like, I have a Battle Fortress. I had a Marienburg Landship. I've had, like, the Orc and Goblin characters, the Dwarven characters. Grot tanks. Grot Mega Tank, the Squigoth. But, you know, maybe just bad batches, honestly. Maybe you just get unlucky sometimes. I've never been lucky with Finecast. For sure, Finecast has had only problems. And it's just not feasible to make plastics of Finecast minis. I don't think it's even doable with how that works. But who knows? Maybe it'll get better. Surely if the prices go up, items get better, no? The quality goes up too if the price goes up, right? Clueless. Copium! Crazy release schedule. I've been pissed off for 4 months straight. I need more releases. I've just been waiting for fucking dwarves. I would say this. As someone who plays League of Legends and gets fucking peanuts every year, it's like 90 anime skins, 90 disappointing champions, and maybe one tidbit, like a little grain of rice that I care about. GW kind of puts out a lot of good shit. Like, I know they're always go, 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 but it's better than having nothing, in a way. Like, if your hobby is starved of fun and content, it's not very enjoyable. Like, the one thing that keeps Warhammer people coming back is just the constant stream of shit that they can give you. "3 years new to Warhammer." Well, see you in 30 years. Pretty sure most people who do Warhammer never really get out of it. They just take breaks. That's usually how that works. MMOs, I gave up on MMOs, actually. I am done with those. Why spend money on an MMO when I can spend money on Warhammer? I want to play the League MMO, yes. So, I want to. I'm done with WoW. I'm officially completely well done. Why are you done with WoW? Played it for so many years. Too much money. I can spend money on other shit. I had played WoW for so many years. I played since, like, Wrath to... What was after Pen... What was the one with the Kultirans? Battle for Azeroth. So Wrath to Azeroth is where I was. Well, League... The thing about League is that you could say, oh, it's your job. But it's more appealing in the sense that, like, every game is just a one and done, and there's no baggage, right? That's what I really like about the game, outside of, like, the universe and the characters and the gameplay. But there's no baggage. This is the baggage I want. Warhammer. Warhammer has endless baggage, but League of Legends is just kind of a one-off. You don't waste time, you know, just kind of pursuing something, you know? You could say a rank is something that kind of keeps bringing it back in, but it's just an in-and-out, quick, either horrid experience or pretty alright experience. So it's just, it's easier to hold on to. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's not for everyone. I don't blame you. The only two constants in life that you should ever involve yourself with is taxes and work. Those two things out of the way, do whatever you want. If you really don't like League, just don't fucking play it. Ow. Ba, ba, da, 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 da. Jesus, this backpack. It's taking a while. Bum, ba, bum. Hmm. Worms franchise? I think at one point, a long time ago, when those were like games that were being sold. I don't think they're sold anymore. Maybe on Steam. I've played similar games to Worms, I just can't remember what the names were, but I remember doing something like that. (2010) something like that. Like, it's a really old fucking series. Definitely not something people play anymore, but it was fun. It was very fun. It's like a party game at one point, pretty sure. Ba, ba, ba. The beauty of converting and chopping the hell out of something for an hour. This shit don't even look like what it was. And even that don't even look like what it was. That's pretty good. Jeez. Well, 20 to go. Bum, 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 bum. So many to go. "300 days of trimming." Well, to be fair, this is like the most converted unit in the army because there's no minis for them. You have to make them up with your brain. eBay. I found a few variants, like 10 for $7, which is good, just not these ones. Yeah, there's a bunch of, I've only got 3 of these. And I'm gonna have to make them all look a little bit different. So I've got 2 more in the mail. There's 5 of these backpacks, and there's supposed to be 20 Rangers, so, like, ideally I find more of this type. Because these are from the old Cadians, and the old Cadians aren't even in stock anymore. You can't buy them. And crazily enough, I'm actually going to leave. This comes with like a spade, like a shovel on the back. I'm going to leave the shovel on one of them. So, should be pretty cool looking. Should be. Oh yeah, they look really good. There's a lot of stuff I want to do with the Rangers, but I can only do as much as I have right now because I don't have the bits. I don't have most of the customization bits. And these are very, very heavy on customization. Everything. The backpacks, the bodies, the weapons, the accessories, the poses. Oh, yeah, they make me I mean, I spent like, where was it? I spent probably an hour and a half fixing this pommel because I hacked it off and I tried to make it closer to his hand so it'd be more of like a throwing axe, and I fucked it up. So like, you know, start again later. Shit, just, you know, if you're someone who likes to whittle and do things like this, it will get to you eventually, but if you don't like it, put it down, start again. Looks pretty good, though. For, like, a mountaineering backpack. Should be like that. Not bad. Yep. I mean, that'll definitely happen. I think it's just a matter of compromise and being happy with what you've done. That's like one of the biggest things to understanding when to put something down. The more you work at something, the less you can potentially enjoy it because you'll end up fucking it up. Again, it's just a matter of putting it down. Put the bitch down. Stop looking at it. It's good. You know, give it fresh eyes the next day. Yeah, it does, definitely. Why do you think all these artists, like, they paint, draw. Half of them they hate, but, like, they just keep doing it. They experiment, they practice, they just fuck around, and eventually they accept it, and it's like, yeah, I've learned so much, let's just do shit and get it out the door. But that's only if you fuck it up. If you actually fuck it up, you maybe will hate it, like abhor it, and you never want to see it again. But if you love it, you'll love it tenfold. Bum, 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 bum. Like, as perfectionist as this may look, I'm loving it. It looks fucking great. It's as good as I want it to be, almost. Maybe a little soft in a few places, but, like, that's totally okay for something you kind of just create yourself. Started to look into painting minis this week. Everything looks so complicated and hard to do. I mean, it takes time. No one gets good overnight, you know? I would say tutorials and YouTube videos can kind of like prepare you, and then getting a hands-on experience is like your best bet, you know? It can be daunting, but you gotta start somewhere, so just pick it up and just do it. The worst thing you could do is be afraid to do something, and so you'll never know. Like, at least make the effort to just put your foot in the door, right? It's good to learn, it's good to read, it's good to watch videos and just take in information, but unless you actually get it on with all that information, it will just kind of be that way. It'll be impossible, it'll be something you'll never be able to do, but give it time, you'll do it. Painting, though, is definitely its own beast. When it comes to the modeling aspect of the hobby, such as like this stuff, that's one thing. But to finish off everything, it is the painting, so like, they go hand in hand. This is the easier part, though, for sure. This is way easier. Painting makes me want to rip my skin off. Models, I don't know, but I assume it feels similar to paintings. I've never really done paintings. I've painted minis, but, you know, patience. Any models you recommend to paint first? I wouldn't suggest anything easy to paint. I say paint something you think looks cool. If it's complicated, just take your sweet time. You'll learn. You won't want to do something if what you're painting is just kind of because someone told you to. If you like the look of something, fucking paint it. Don't be afraid to fuck it up, because you will fuck it up. That's life. And from that fucked up mini, you can look back and be like, damn, I could do this better, I could do this better. You know, you learn as you go. Just paint whatever you want. Be patient. Be mindful of, you know, where you're putting stuff and how much paint goes on the mini. And it's not too bad. Yeah, white and yellow are pretty bad. Nothing but scraping for 4 years. You kind of have to do that, though. If you want to make your army as complete as you see it in your head, it will take you a long time. People have painted minis for months. One mini. It's the vision. It's knowing that in my head, I know exactly how everything should be, and so I know how to do it, and I know when it's done and ready. Some people just put minis together and paint them, and that's it. There's no conversions, and that's great, but that's not me. I like customization. Models are like 3D coloring books. You don't have to be a perfectionist. Try to just learn something on each model you paint. Exactly. That's really literally what it is. Like, you look at this, and you're like, okay, the sleeping bag is white, the backpack is brown, and you're going to shade it, and then paint it, you know, with a highlight. It's good for me. It is kind of a 3D coloring book, though, for sure. Fill in the places and make them look good. You know, the one thing I will say, though, if you do get into painting, paint something that's not expensive. Don't be like, oh, Tobias, yeah, you know, you told me to paint something I think looks cool, so for my first mini, I'm painting a fucking Stompa. It's like, no. Paint like an orc boy. A grot. But it looks cool, dude. What do you mean? It's like, okay. Yeah, oh, go paint a Demon Primarch. Oh, go paint a Warlord Titan. I just spent my entire, like, 3 months of income on a Warlord Titan. Go buy that. You got to. One-to-one scale gigamech of hell. Exactly. Just fucking paint it for fun. You know? Every panel on it can be a different test paint. Stompa, so I've heard. I did build a Stompa in my youth, and I don't think it was that bad, but then again, memory may not be with me. My dad would come around and he'd pay child support, okay? So when I was pretty young, we'd go to Games Workshop. And Mr. Child Support would be walking out with a Baneblade and a Stompa and an Orc Battle Force and fantasy miniatures, and oh my god, Child Support's great. He would show up once a year. Pay 3 months worth of income on my first mini. Hey, man. You do you, brother, but, like, start small. Some people like painting D&D minis because they're so cheap. And they're readily available. That's a good option. Paint something that intrigues you. The cheap toy soldiers, yeah, if you like them. The plastic, like, army men from the dollar store. Yeah, go for it. Space Marines are pretty easy panel work. The biggest thing to Space Marines is just making sure your paint is extremely thin so the panels look very smooth instead of like lumpy panels, you know? I feel like if you ever got into airbrushing, Space Marines would be one of the easiest things to paint. Like, I don't think I'd ever want to paint Space Marines with a brush, unless it's like details or shoulder pads. When I was a wee lad with my goblin green bases, I fucking slopped those Space Marines around in, like, whatever the blue paint was at the time. What a glorious day. Loved it. Got them goblin green bases with, like, either the fucking old school flocking or, like, fake moss. Lovely. Yeah, absolutely. You can make everything look sick. You can make all of your minis look sick just adding more details. And it's more like your mini at that point, you know, because it's not something that's, like, readily available, you could say. It's always fun to personalize shit. Then again, not everyone likes hobbying. Some people like painting, some people like gaming. Every bit of the hobby's kind of for different people, or for, you know, if you're into all of it, great. But, you know, not everyone enjoys every bit of the process, because the process is tedious and very time-consuming. And some stuff they may not just, like, be confident with, like the painting, and, you know, oh my god, how do I cut something, or the gaming is so complicated, but you kind of learn as you go. You'll never get it right the first time, and the only way to improve is to keep failing, so, like, keep trying. The number one thing I do when I get into something and I want to learn it is I fucking love losing. I love being just an absolute pile of shit at whatever I want to get good at, because then over time you just kind of learn, and, you know, every single experience is a learning one, so, like, you can kind of look back at it if you keep track of them all. And you can see the progression. You can absolutely see yourself getting better if you actively want to get better. And that's more so, like, when I would get good at games, fighting shittier people is never going to teach you anything. So, like, my idea of getting better was always to fight better people than me, lose 100% of the time, but kind of, like, adapt play styles and see what they're doing and kind of just work in their ideas into my gameplay. And you just get better. You learn, you learn. Ye do learn. Maybe. I genuinely like fucking losing in fighting games. Maybe not to, like, dog shit, you know, zoning nonsense, but, like, if you love a character, like, for me, Street Fighter was always Geef. Mortal Kombat was always Kano. So I'm only playing one character. I'm playing them into every matchup, good or bad. I'm spam playing them for hundreds, if not 1,000 games. And you just learn. You just go about it. You get shit on? Well, that's life. Go again. Remember how you got shit on and try to avoid it next time. How can I work around it? I mean, it's like the same thing with League. I played thousands of Gangplank games initially when it first came out. And you just learn everything. Yeah, I think this backpack's good for now until I revisit it. Yeah. One technique a month is great, you know, or just, you know, painting a set of miniatures, doing something, and then, you know, reflecting on that. Because I started, I've only painted, like, 2 things in recent years, just because I haven't had any time whatsoever. And these were my test paints. And I haven't painted in probably 6 years, 7 years. And these are the 2 minis that I did. And the first one was this one, and I took my time, and it came out pretty alright, but, you know, like, better highlights, more blending. It could be a little bit thinner in some spots, like, you know, whatever it may be. But I would write everything down. And so from this, I then did this one, which has kind of a blended shield and, you know, finer details, I suppose, but still missing a bit of highlighting, like extreme highlights. But it's cool. It's just cool to learn, and, you know, just getting better at stuff is always fun. So I was working on a third one, but, like, I never got around to it because I have no time, but that's life. Okay. 2 backpacks basically kind of done. Oh yeah, absolutely. You'll never be 100% satisfied with your own work. Like, looking at this, I could still go more, but I think for now I'm just going to leave it and meld over it. Well, I mean, yeah, you are your own biggest critic, though. Like, these... Okay, they look fine to you, but to me, I'm like, I know where I fucked up. I know what I didn't push enough of. Yeah. Like, everyone is very critical of themselves because they know exactly what they did. It's like, why do you care about scraping mold lines? Well, for me, it's, I want my mini to look good, and someone else can come along and say, well, who gives a shit? It looks great. It's like, do you know how many mold lines are inside this fucking crossbow? If you knew, you'd be sick. Like, it's, you know. It is what it is. People who don't clean the mold lines are psychopaths? What about the ones who clean them too much? No cleaning is way worse. That I would agree. But you know what? I can't blame people for not wanting to do it because it is optional, and not everyone wants to sit there and just be a mutant and, like, scrape mold lines for 30 years. Can't blame someone for not wanting to do that. That's fucking tedious as hell. This is gonna need some bits of some kind, maybe like satchels on the side, but it looks alright. Yeah. It is. Like, I know when to sometimes let things go. Sometimes. Because, yeah, if you do keep at it, you will ruin the piece. You'll kill what you're doing, and you'll be like, oh, I'm only doing it to better it. And it's like, well, you fucking ruined it. Good job. Unlucky. Well, time to do another one. Holy gamoly. Yep. That's why I spend 30 years checking over everything. That's exactly why I don't want to be in that spot. But everyone's happy doing something different. Not everyone needs to be severe perfectionist level of, like, intricate, you know? You can kind of just work at your own pace, and the biggest thing is, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. That is the #1 goal in the hobby. It's a hobby, it's for fun. It's not meant to be like a day job or anything. Like, you just want to sit around and enjoy yourself and think of what you could be doing once it's all done. But I will say, scraping mold lines is not fun. Like, there is no satisfaction in this but seeing the final result. And that's a lot of bullshit to get to that point. I don't have some sort of zen state where I'm like, and fucking Gandhi mental scraping mold lines. Like, inside my brain right now, it just doesn't want to be alive anymore, knowing that I have to do this again. It's self-aware. Free me! Free me from this body! Stop scraping the fucking mold lines and do something! Please kill me. He's making me do it again. Kill me. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this before I have to leave. Because I still have to have dinner, and then I have to go to bed, which is probably not the best time to have dinner before bed, but I need to go eat something. I might just make eggs. Some delicious egg. Egg and cheese. Or just don't. I'm fucking starving, dude. I haven't had food all day. The only food I had earlier today made me sick. So I'm a little hungry. I ended up watching The Acolyte, by the way. I finished it. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw The Acolyte, I said, this is the most dog shit piece of dog shit that, like, you couldn't make anything more dog shit than this dog shit. And you know what? It's kind of like a 6 or a 7 show. Like, the later episodes were actually good. Some of them were great. It picked up. The action was fine. It was more so believable. I still don't think it's a good show, but I think it's more of like a 6 out of 10, 6.5. Like, the early episodes were the absolute worst. Like, of any series, they were garbage. Like, even worse than fucking naked fat Boba Fett being dragged through sand and being beaten by a child. Yeah, it's not horrible. It did pick up. It did get a bit better. And they've got a few bombshell drops at the end of, you know, the show, but, like, yeah, the first episodes were, like, it wasn't even the same show. The one turning point was the episode Night. Like, it's literally Disney Star Wars, and then it's like, okay, this is kind of dark. Slightly. And it still is Disney Star Wars in the end, but, like, it was definitely better around episode 4. I would say I I think I liked it more than Boba Fett, which is sad to say, and I think I liked it more than Obi-Wan. Only because of the latter episodes. Like, the later ones were... Well, not the latter, but, like, the later ones. Obi-Wan and... I think so. I would... Yeah. Obi-Wan was okay. I really wanted the Book of Boba Fett to be good, but, like, it just... The show didn't know what it wanted to be. The show had no idea what it wanted to be. Boba Fett had no fucking clue what he was doing. And you could say, well, he's trying to run a criminal empire. Of course he has no idea what he's doing, but, like, the writing. Why is he there? Why does he care? What is going on? Like, Baby Yoda's here? It's just a setup for, like, Mando Season 3. Or Season 2, whatever it was at the time. That is true. I mean, that one part in Obi-Wan where he faces Anakin, or Vader, that was amazing. Like, that was great. Absolutely. But that is one part in the entire show. Like, I will say that was probably the best thing in it. Well, I don't think you want to do like a... Well, Star Wars, I mean, they just did a prequel show with, like, the fucking Acolyte, so I guess I can't say this, but, like... Since Cad Bane and him already had history, and the Clone Wars was already a thing, and people did want to see Boba Fett if he survived out of the Sarlacc, I think it made more sense to show that. Him surviving and the past kind of catching up with him, which is just Cad Bane. But the show just sucked. Like, the Book of Boba Fett, to me, had the best concept. Boba Fett, bounty hunter, underworld, criminal empire, you know, Tatooine, Jabba's palace, just a bunch of, like, degenerate shit that could have went on. That is very fun, and it just wasn't that. You had a guy who, oh my god, near-death experience. He gets raised by a bunch of savages who beat him and fucking throw a lizard up his nose, and then he goes on a trip, and he's like, I'm gonna save you. And then he runs off and helps the Tuskens deal with the train, and it's like, okay. Cool. And then he decides to go rule Tatooine. What? What's the point? Like, he's saved by a tribe. He learns their ways, whatever. I can kind of accept that. But then he goes off and he's like, I want to do what Jabba was doing. Which is put people in really shitty situations, it seems. I don't know. Something about it just didn't really line up. And of course, it was just to sell, like, the new episode of... Or the new season of Mando. And yeah, it was just all over the place. Yep, absolutely. It felt like a very disjointed thing. The best Disney Star Wars ever was Andor. Period. Andor is better than all of these shows. Obi-Wan, don't care, it's Andor. Who's Andor, you may say? No one knows, no one cares. He's just dead and the plans are safe. Great. Better than Boba Fett, better than the Acolyte, better... Like, bro, you had a show that had literally nobody. Who, Andor who? Outclassing Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, Darth Vader. Like, seriously. Of course it was the writing. Not the character being so cool, but the writing was so amazing. Directing was perfect, right? It just sucks that, like, you couldn't have gotten that for the shows that had, like, really compelling characters, ones that people love. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, they did have a good. Well, Andor was the exception. Absolutely. Disney's all about that merchandising, and oh my god, it makes everyone so relatable. Can't you relate to Boba Fett? He's a fucking mass murderer, gun for hire, you know, coldless, soulless killer. But now he's a good guy. Like, you can relate to him, right? Project with smaller budget seem to be the directors and producers who are actual fans. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, though, because, like, Filoni and Favreau are fans, big fans. And they dropped the ball on but season 3 of The Mandalorian. Boba Fett Funko Pop sale went up by 10%, so the show is a success. Hey, don't flame Funkos. I got a few. Maybe not like Book of Boba Fett ones, but you know. Yeah, the merchandising is everything for Star Wars. But I will say it does have the best merchandise if it's not like mass market stuff. It's got a lot of cool shit. Star Wars is the endless merchandise machine. A lot of it's garbage, but there's some really good gems. Okay. That is the true test. They're in the box. They're in the box. They're literally the cheapest ones ever. It's just they're cool because they're of nobody characters. Like, I will say this. Funko Pops, to me, don't look the best. But they've got a few gems. Because they've got so many licenses. And as a novelty, it's like, oh my god, that's a Starship Trooper one. Bog, peace, buddy. I'm getting out of here as well. Very soon. Like, I don't want the 50 variants of Boba Fett and his, like, flocked fucking gun. Like, one is okay. Completionists are a little bit scary sometimes. Because to complete something, you have to kind of devolve a little bit and go after all the variants and all these weird things, and it's like, Oh, yeah. Well, they sell. That's why they take up space. You can't blame them. If they didn't sell, they wouldn't be there. It's whatever's going to make them bank, and everyone loves Funkos, it seems. think I'm gonna get out of here in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes of scraping more backpack, and then I must go have dinner. And then go see Mochi again. Can I have a kiss? There you go, bro. Holy moly, the arthritis in every joint is acting up. Holy God. We're almost done, don't worry. We've got like 20 more backpacks. We've got like probably about 80 more bits for one unit. Lovely. The price of perfection and making cool shit. Ye price of perfection? No, I don't play fighting games anymore. Not right now. It's not that I've given up completely, but I just currently don't want to. I'm just not in the mood. I like the new camera angle. Which one? This one? I'm just fucking around with different camera angles at this point. None of them seem to work. You just change the blade. Ideally, you do keep it sharp. You just keep changing out blades, yeah? You kind of have to because they get dull and then they won't cut. Mochi Cam, when? I miss Mochi. He's sitting in the living room right now. I think I took new pictures of him. Let me see. Okay, I took a picture of Mochi. I gotta Gyazo this. He's so expressive. Mochi is just so expressive. I don't know what it is about this fucking dog, but he's just very happy. I'm just Gyazoing his face. He's got like pure joy flowing through him. Here's the Riz. He's risen. It's like, sup. And this, he's happy. He's so happy. He's happy to just be alive. That's why I love this dog. And that's why I love dogs. They don't need Warhammer. They don't need Lamborghinis. They don't want mansions. They don't want money. They want little fucking sweet potato treats and love. And to run around in dirt. Like, they're very simple creatures. And very loyal. Alright. That's Mochi. One of the funniest Mochi pics ever, though, is this one. I love this one. That's the GOAT. That's why he's the GOAT. It looks so dumb. Oh my god, dude. I don't think he was aware of how he looked in that picture. Or like the 50 others I took of him. That's why he's the GOAT. All right, after this song, we're gonna go. This should be about time. Oh, I'm gonna go eat for sure. This Warhammer project's gonna take a very long time. I could probably scrape two to three backpacks in like one sitting, and that's it. It's gonna take like 2 hours, 3 hours. It's very tedious, and I've got 20 of them to do. And that's just the fucking backpack. That's not even the bits that go on the backpack. That's not even the actual miniature. Like, I'm gonna take a pretty decent break for these guys. What makes a good dwarf fantasy for you? What does that even mean? What do you mean by that? You mean what makes a good dwarf from fantasy? In fantasy? I mean, aesthetically, they need the whole Viking-esque vibe. They need the beard. They need their family ties, their whole fucking, you know, lineage and ancestor worship and all that crap. They need to live in a mountain. They have to be very disinterested in the world and kind of, you know, hate elves. That's very typical of dwarves in any setting at this point. They need to always be on the decline. They need to kind of just everything fantasy. Everything Warhammer Dwarf and Warhammer Fantasy is like perfect. That's just, to me, the perfect dwarf. I don't think any other setting or, you know, whether it be a game, a series, I don't know. None of it did it as good as Warhammer did. And Warhammer, of course, is just ripping from everything. Don't get me wrong, it's not original entirely, but, like, they have the best version of it, in my opinion. Yeah, that's it for me, folks. I gotta go, though. What is a twist in their archetype that you saw that you liked? I don't even know. I genuinely couldn't even say. Like, I don't even have a clue. Like, it's very... The thing about dwarves is they're very, in lore, dead set in their ways. And for a lot of people who like Warhammer Fantasy Dwarves, they're also very dead set in liking that dead set in their ways thing. So... I can't even think of something that I actually like that isn't typical Warhammer. Like, genuinely. Maybe I'm just a fucking fanboy. I actually couldn't even answer that question. I'm thinking pretty hard. I just can't. And a Dow, yo, buddy. Unfortunately, I do have to go. It is late for me. It's about 11 p.m. Ivana's birthday, my girlfriend's birthday, is in 1 fucking hour. And she said, if you don't tell me it's my birthday at midnight, I'm gonna kill you. That actually helps a lot. Does it really? I don't know. I'm like a Warhammer dwarf purist. It's very hard to figure, like... There's nothing out of Tolkien's dwarves that I would rather have than fantasy dwarves. Like, Tolkien made his dwarves, okay, Norse mythology, whatever it may be, you know, made them the way they are, had his influences and whatnot, and then Warhammer said, okay, hold my beer, we're giving him fucking miniguns and helicopters. I would always prefer the miniguns and helicopters to whatever, you know, Dark Age technology that they've got. Like, for God's sake, they use bows. Yeah. So, there's nothing. I literally can't think of anything in a different setting that was a take on dwarves that I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for me, folks. I'm out of here. Take care of yourselves. Be well. I will see you tomorrow. We're going to be playing League all day, and if we ever get back on this channel, which we will,